It is 6:45, so I'm going to call the joint meeting to order, and we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a pretty big audience tonight, so I just want to make kind of two announcements that are related to this. So we are first in the joint city council meeting. This is kind of a pro forma meeting that comes together with, it should go pretty quickly. These are just, final approvals. Most of the stuff has come through subcommittees, and these are just putting the finances in order for the city. Many of you probably want to speak at public comment. Just for the newer people, that'll be the next meeting that should start on or around 7 p.m. So let me make sure I have the right agenda in front of me. City, of course I missed it. But anyway, our first agenda item is the approval of the minutes. Those meeting minutes were for the joint meeting held on December 10th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any changes, amendments, corrections, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Our consent agenda is rather long, A through H. Does anybody wish to withdraw anything from the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 is the NVCOG EPA assessment grant. So I'll entertain a motion to transfer $6,500 from the general fund contingency account for the city match of the NVCOG EPA assessment grant award.
So move. Second.
Any comments on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And then I'd also like to entertain a motion to make an additional appropriation of $71,500 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund for the NVCOG EPA Assessment Grant Award.
Move approval. Second.
Comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, entertain a motion to transfer $1,250,000 from the Equipment Building Sinking Fund contingency account.
Move approval.
We got that? Good. Second was Jackie. We'll give it to Mykowski. Comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, the Board of Education budget. We need to make an additional appropriation of $1.25 million within the BOE budget. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second. Great, and for those in the audience and reminder on the board here, this is to make up for the NBR non-compliance. We had already put some money in there. This is evening up that account. I think the total was 1.37 total, but this gets us up to par on that. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. General fund contingency account, we need to transfer $122,811 from the general fund contingency account. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. This is kind of from the ARPA clearing up things here too. We need to rescind $500,000 appropriation with the Capital Projects Fund for the Center Square parking garage. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Again, ARPA-related coronavirus recovery fund to approve the administrative reconciliation of the ARPA funding appropriation of the coronavirus recovery fund.
Second.
Jackie, right?
Yeah.
Got it? Jackie and then Sebastian. Yeah, by the way, just quick note here. Monumental task. Want to give some kudos to the comptroller's office. We did an awful lot on December 10th and got that done ahead of time, which is great, but it created a lot of this paperwork in the background. So another great job by our comptroller's office. So thank you very much. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Another one on equipment building sinking fund to transfer 53,847 within the equipment building sinking fund and make an additional appropriation of 53,847 within the capital projects fund.
Move approval.
Second.
Questions or comments on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're on to number 11, and we'll ask Diane to give us our monthly presentation on the expense report, revenue and expenses.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. You have the report in front of you. Just one thing I want to update you on the tax collections. They ran the collections today. As you know, collections come in July and January. Coming in as expected. Obviously, there's nothing to be concerned about as far as the current tax revenue collections are go. But real estate on the chart in the middle, you have real estate at 65.8. Through the middle of January already, they collected 69%. So it's going up, and they will get a lot of the escrow accounts come in at the end of usually the last week. That'll come in. So nothing to be concerned about there. Everything is looks good. The one thing I did not put in the report, and I don't know how I missed this, but they did bill for the motor vehicle supplement. Bills went out January 1st. The total billing was 2.376 million. We had budgeted 1.5 million, so we will have a little bit of a surplus there. The collection rate isn't always the 99% that they collect. It's usually around 96, 97% on the motor vehicle sup. But I anticipate, as we had in the past, we'll do well there as well and come in a little bit over what was estimated. Building permit fees, conveyance taxes, in line with last year percentage-wise. As you know, we did increase those budgets a little bit based on past trends. And then investment earnings, we're already at 1.29 million. We budgeted 1.1. So we do anticipate that that will be the one revenue that will exceed our estimates this year. Nothing on the expenditure side of note. As you know, we are watching the Board of Education and their special education costs. They are presenting to the Board of Finance monthly if anybody's interested in tuning into that. Our Capital Improvement Strategic Planning Committee is meeting next week. We will be looking at an update on current projects that are in process. We'll be doing updated debt projections, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we will also be talking a little bit about strategic planning and where we want to go with that. So that will be next Wednesday. The 25-26 budget, everything is due to my office at the end of this week on the city side. And I know the Board of Ed is starting their budget workshops within the next week. So we're gearing up for that process. We did get the audit. The audit was record time, December 11th dated. I don't think it's been dated that early in a long time. So if anybody wants a hard copy, this is it. We have a nice picture of the new City Hall on it this year. So if anybody wants a copy, just either contact me or Jody and we'll get you a hard copy. But if not, as you all know, I hate paper, so you do have it available online as well. So you can go to the comptroller's page and you'll find it under the annual report section. Just a couple things to know. I did kind of highlight in my report the pages that you might want to reference that might be of use to you, of an interest. The management's discussion and analysis on pages 5 to 18 always has a lot of good information on trends and where we ended the year. We did get a clean opinion, so didn't expect anything less, so that's good with the auditor's report. And then just talk about the governmental fund balance sheet for a minute. We did have a $326,000 surplus on the general fund, and that is after, as you know, we had to fund the Board of Ed deficit, and then we did reallocate some funds for equipment building sinking fund and towards our mill rate stabilization fund as well. So net, when all is said and done, it was a $326,000 surplus. That left us at the end of the year with a $31.4 million fund balance, which is 12% of expenditures. And I did note it did come down slightly from the previous year. And I only highlight that because that is a number that the Board of Finance range is to maintain that unassigned balance between 12 and 15%. So we are at that lower range. And just to clarify, that 12 or 15% is a percent of the expenditures. So our budgeted expenditures are this year 225 million. So we always use that fund balance as a percentage, as a gauge. And it is important when we go out to bond, and it's important to the rating agencies. So we want to make sure that we, try and monitor that as we go forward and try and keep it at that 12%. Other pages that you might want to reference are the water and sewer fund, pension funds, and then if you want to see how we ended budget to actual, pages 89 to 102 give you that information as well. Any questions on the audit? We were very happy, and I want to thank my staff. They did an awesome job getting everything done to the auditors. They showed up the end of October for their final field work, and they were gone not even within 3 weeks, and everything went very smoothly. So I owe it to them because they really did a good job to get them everything that they needed. ARPA task force, you approved all of that. The report is ready. The December 31st report is ready to be filed with the Treasury. No issues there. Last thing I do want to report on, we were able to successfully complete our refunding that we started in October, that we had to put on hold. We did achieve a savings of $879,000 over the life of the term of the remaining bonds. The bonds that were refunded were the 2017 and the 2018 bonds. So all said and done, we structured the savings to occur in 2027, fiscal year 2028 and fiscal year 2029. Those are the years that we're projecting that we will have a significant increase in our debt service, so that savings will help offset some of that as we go forward and plan for the future. We had an amazing sale. We had 18 bids. Our advisor said that's the most he's seen, and I think it's the most I've ever seen in my career, 18 bids on one issue. So it was 23 million, a little over 23 million in total, and it was very successful. So if anybody has any questions on anything, I will try and answer them.
I'll open it to those that are here in person first. Any questions for Diane? How about on Zoom? Any Board of Finance members? No?
I'm all set. Thank you.
You did well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, and this is really good. We're right on time, which we haven't been. Are you good?
Yeah, my question might be kind of complicated, so I'm going to email Diane.
Okay. That's
Thank
fine.
you.
She'll get back to you. I don't think there's any other business to come before us, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are going to give it just 4 or 5 minutes so I can get reorganized here. So 7:03 is my target start time, which is a little earlier than normal. The city council meeting to order, and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then we will go ahead and do introductions, starting on my far right. Jackie.
Jacqueline Olson, City Council District 2.
Sue Tyler, City Council District 2.
Sebastian Pinedo, City Council District 1.
Jeff Jano, Mayor, sorry. That's all right. I know I usually do, but I switched it up on you tonight. That's my bad, sure. Go for it.
Hi, Cheryl Tebow, City Council District 3.
Mark Dickow, City Council District 3.
Eric Rosengren, City Council District 1.
Very good. All right. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes from our regular city council meeting held on December 10th, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Great. Any comments, additions, questions, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion carries. Number 3 is public participation. We have a pretty lengthy list of people to speak tonight. If you did not get a chance to sign up, I'll call at the end. That's for the people that are here live. I see we have a big Zoom audience as well. We'll get to you second. My only reminders to all of you is that we would appreciate if you keep this under 3 minutes. A lot can be said in 3 minutes, and I had asked the clerk to try to help keep time on that as well. So when I call you up, please come up and state your name and address for the record. First up, it looks like Diane Kosis.
Sir, I'm not really, I'm sort of on a separate thing.
We'll get to you. Diane, you're up first. So they signed up in order, and I'll get to you, I promise. That's okay. We'll get to you. Go ahead, Diane. I don't want to miss people, so I'm going to stick with this order here, if you don't
All
mind.
right. Well, thank you for allowing us here this evening to inform you about the low-frequency noise emanating from fans at the corporation known as ReWorld. There are a number of us here tonight. Hopefully, not everybody is able to speak. However, I want to focus my conversation on the quality of life. I want you to think about, and I want you to imagine two scenarios. First, an unanswered ringing telephone day and night. A baby crying that you cannot soothe day and night. All you seem to want is peace. Answer the phone and understand what the baby is trying to tell you. Can you open your hearts and listen to the impact stories that you will hear tonight for those who are able to speak? How do we begin to be kind to one another? How do we alleviate the suffering of others? What makes us do the things we do? Government is for the people. It is to serve those who are less fortunate to have the contacts and the power to do what's right. It shouldn't matter what town they come from or what economic status or how long they've lived there. You need to see them as human beings who are trying to contribute to a society and have the time to have peace and quiet and add quality to their lives. I live in an elderly community in Southington. Again, my name is Diane Kosis, 20 Oak Road in Southington, Connecticut. Didn't mention that to begin with. I apologize.
Okay.
You may never know their stories and lives, what they have led. What do they deserve? Do you care? How about incentivizing the young to contribute to a just society when we treat the elderly in such disregard? I have been told by friends that I have an overabundance of justice. Hi, Sandy. That I will want to see, what I want to see is for everyone to be treated fairly and to have the rights that they deserve. What can you do? Are you powerless? Have you written a letter in opposition to this noise pollution? Have you? I want to submit 3 letters, and then I'll be closing my statements. The first one is from Quiet Communities, written in November of 2024 to the Department of Energy and Environmental Health. They discuss both the health of the noise, mostly, obviously. Also, I want to tell you about the town of Southington, which I live. They have written to DEEP back in November about both the noise and the medical waste burning that they're going to be doing. 2 pages. I know Plainville has written one. Unfortunately, I didn't get my hands on that. The other one is from just today from the state representative, Rebecca Martinez, who just won her election on Wednesday, and she has already introduced 2 bills to help us to try to understand what ReWorld is doing. Who do I submit these to?
You can give them over to the clerk. That'll be good for the record. That's fine. Yep. Thank you. You said you were practiced in time. You did very well. If we can just close out for us. Yep.
Forgot to give you my name and address.
You did great. You did fine. Francis Pickering, you're up next.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here. Unfortunately, I'm also speaking about the noise issue. I'm a former Bristol resident. Now I reside at 60 Panthorn Trail in Southington, Connecticut. When I looked for my house, I took noise readings at night at various properties to make sure I bought a house that was quiet. The house I bought was quiet, but beginning in 2023, it was no longer quiet. I was up nights trying to find the source of noise. I went and bought a professional noise meter, calibrated and drove around. I eventually discovered that it was the ReWorld Covanta plant in Bristol. And I discovered I was not alone. The unfortunate thing is that this was never promised to Bristol. The Ogden Martin plant, when it was first approved by the Connecticut Siting Council on August 29th, 1985, included a finding as a fact that said it is expected that the proposed facility will be in compliance with all state and city noise and tonal noise regulations. And as such, it could be expected that noise would have only a negligible effect on neighboring industries and would have no impact on residential locations outside of the industrial park. That has proven to be wrong. State noise law requires every municipal noise control ordinance shall be at least as stringent as any state noise control plan, Connecticut General Statutes 22A-73. During the BBHD investigation, BBHD found, as did I independently, that the city's noise control ordinance is not as stringent as state law. It is less stringent and is in violation of state law. And yet Bristol has done nothing about that. It's clear to me the city so far has not taken this matter seriously. BBHD, to its credit, has put public health first. This is not just an annoyance or a nuisance. It's not just an impact to property values. Noise pollution is second only to air pollution as the environmental exposure most harmful to human health. As Quiet Communities reports, chronic noise, even at low levels, is a major source of stress that contributes to heart disease, heart attacks, stroke, sleep disruption, diabetes and obesity, anxiety and depression, dementia, neurodegenerative diseases, and premature death. The European Environment Agency has estimated that noise pollution continent-wide, much bigger than Bristol, accounts for 48,000 new cases of heart disease a year and 12,000 premature deaths annually in Europe. This is a real, serious public health issue that's not getting enough attention. They say Bristol is all heart. If that's the case, how many cases of heart disease and attacks is the city willing to put up with? Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. I'm going to keep, from what people signed up here, I'm going to call up next Justine McGowan, so we'll keep on the same topic. I think that'll be the best thing to do.
Hi, thank you. Justine McGowan, 16 Mill Pond Drive, Bristol. So I wrote some notes down. I want to begin by sharing what it's like living near ReWorld. I'm about a mile away. I moved into Bristol about 2 years ago, and ever since my first week there, I was wondering, I know that there's like airports nearby. I thought it was maybe airplanes, and I did the same thing Francis did. I drove around like trying to figure out what the noise was, and I could not figure it out. I posted on social media, on Bristol Talks, and you know, a lot of us get made fun of for bringing it up and talking about it, which doesn't feel great either. And then finally, I think Teresa Murphy was the person who kind of banded us all together, thankfully. Thank you, Teresa. So this noise is not just an occasional disturbance. It's a constant, unrelenting droning that makes it impossible to relax, focus, or sleep. Night after night, the sound feels overwhelming, vibrating through my home and leaving me mentally and physically drained. As a homeowner, I expected to find peace in my neighborhood. Instead, I find myself in a situation that is out of my control, despite my best efforts, whether through soundproofing measures or noise-canceling devices, several sound machines, the bathroom fan on. The noise still impacts my sleep and my ability to function day to day. I had a newborn when I first moved into Bristol too, so he was up crying all night. So it was just a combination of a lot of things causing some distress with my sleep. What's most alarming is that my experience isn't unique. Neighbors and friends and other residents in the area, it sounds like towns are surrounding us as well, have described the noise as maddening and driving them crazy. They too are experiencing heightened anxiety and sleepless nights. This is more than the noise. It's about our mental health. Chronic sleep deprivation and unrelenting noise are known to increase stress, anxiety, and even physical health risks. As a mental health provider, I know firsthand how damaging this kind of disruption can be for individuals and families. We've reached a breaking point as a community, and it's upsetting to see that despite a collective outcry, this issue remains unsolved and unresolved. One of the most disheartening parts of this issue is a lack of engagement from city officials. While I appreciate the efforts of some folks and those who have responded, it feels like residents have been left to advocate for ourselves. Initially, our primary point of contact was a representative of ReWorld, which was really weird. I got invited to go visit the facility. I knew where the noise was coming from, and that, like, being able to go to the facility was not very helpful. When I reached out to the mayor's office shortly after moving to Bristol, I was told that ReWorld operates independently and is outside of the town's control. That response left me feeling really abandoned, like there is no recourse for residents experiencing the harmful effects of the noise. We deserve better from our leadership. If the city cannot control ReWorld directly, I urge you to find creative ways to work with residents and external parties to resolve the issue, please. Bristol is growing with new homes being built and families investing in our community. I am one of the people who moved from Southington to Bristol. My husband did the plumbing in our house. We were thinking this was going to be like our forever home, and it's just absolutely miserable with the sound just constantly droning our home. I understand that my time is up. I have a couple more points that I would like to get to, but I understand that there's a lot of people that would like to speak tonight. But I would just like to say that this issue is not about just noise. It's about our health, our mental health, our quality of life, and our trust in the local government. Please do not let another sleepless night go by without showing us that you care.
Thank you, Julie. Or Justine. Sorry, Bob Crowley, you're up next.
Good evening. I'll be brief. I'm Bob Crowley, 1985 West Street in Southington. We moved my wife and I moved from Wolcott, out of a relatively large home to a condo on West Street. It's a over 65 or over 55 community. And our first night, we heard this strange noise. I thought it was a ceiling fan at first, but after that, turned the ceiling fan off and this noise persisted. And so every single day, 24/7, this noise is there. It's a womp womp noise, and you can't get away from it. We have noise apps on our phones. Both of us have them on pretty loud, along with an air purifier, which is pretty loud. And as you're laying there trying to get to sleep, you hear this noise, and it just never goes away. And so if we had known that this was the case, we never would have moved there. We would have moved someplace else. And now we feel like we're kind of lost in that we have this piece of property, which is very expensive. And I feel like this has to be taken care of, or it's going to be very difficult to move this piece of property and to move someplace else. And the last thing we want to do is move again after everything we've gone through. We stayed in our first house for 35 years. So I've sent letters, or at least one letter to a group of people. Maybe some of you were on that distribution list, including the Attorney General, pointing out these facts. And I would ask that if there's anything that can be done, please consider that, as this is really a problem for a lot of people. And if you can help us, we'll really appreciate that. And we're going to be at least staying vigilant on this, as it is a big problem for us. And for, I think, a lot of people. There's 388 people on the Facebook page that are all contributing to this. And I'm sure there's many more that heard this noise and really don't even know what it is. So again, I ask if there's something you can do for us, please do so. And with that, I'll say goodnight.
Thank you very much, Bob. I'm going to jump to Zoom, and I would assume there might be one or two people on Zoom that would like to address ReWorld or Covanta. Is there anybody that wants to come off mute and address the city council? If we can, hopefully.
Yes, I would. My name is David James, 21 West Broad Street in Plainville. Like I said, my name is David James, and together with my family, we live in Plainville. We live just 3 miles from the ReWorld plant. We're 100% against the noise pollution that ReWorld produces, as well as any permits granting the permission to burn biomedical waste, which that decision will be later this week. For over 2 years now, we've experienced the constant and incessant droning noise that comes from ReWorld. It has impacted our physical, mental, and emotional health. So much so that the home we chose to start and raise our family in is no longer the escape and sanctuary a home should be. This incessant droning noise from ReWorld impacts us nightly. We can't sleep. We can't drown out the grating, vibrating hum enough to search for peace. We can't escape it. And it's clear we can't control it. Residents and other towns have spoken out against this, yet ReWorld has done nothing to improve the quality of life issue this has become for so many of us. Now it's impacting our young son, who notices the sound and in his own words asks, "What's that sound?" And as it's bad. Like ours, now he is sleep his sleep and health are affected. We anticipate the dreaded noise each evening, and it's absolutely draining. Regarding the burning of the biomedical waste, if ReWorld can't comply to stop the humming, penetrating noise issues, why trust it would comply with medical waste monitoring? The answer is we can't, and it's because of the noise, lack of meaningful action on ReWorld's part, and now the possibility of them burning medical waste that our family is looking to move elsewhere. The negative effects on our health, air and environment, and finances, like impacts to our property values and homes that we can't sell now or in the near future, are real and too high. We have attended our town council meetings, we've written to local representatives, and we spoke at the Connecticut Deep's ReWorld public hearing, all in hopes of our leaders would prioritize the health and environment of Connecticut families over profits. Because ReWorld, as it operates now, especially if they begin burning biomedical waste, doesn't belong in our or anyone's backyard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom like to speak on the ReWorld Covanta issue? Okay, just address one thing publicly for you all, and many of you are new here. Oh, do we have a hand? Go ahead, Diana. Can you hear me? You have to come off mute if you'd like to speak. If you guys can hit the ask to unmute button, sometimes that gives them a prompt so they can see it. There you go, Diana.
Hi, sorry about that. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to just chime in. I don't have anything specific prepared. My husband and I have been attending some of the other local or municipal meetings that have gone on about this issue over the last few months. My husband is actually there in person. I'm home with our two young kids, a 5 and a 2-year-old. We built our house in Southington, just 1.2 miles away from this Covanta plant that we had no idea existed. 8 years ago, we put blood, sweat, and tears into a house that we thought we were going to live in until the day we died and raise our kids and grandkids here. And when we found out about, this pending approval and the fact that our state was potentially considering approving toxic waste to be burned within, steps of local daycares, a amusement park, thousands of residents who are advocating to the best that we can with zero support essentially from our state and government officials for our own health and sanity. We were absolutely distraught, and it honestly brings me to tears almost every day at the thought that we're considering uprooting our entire lives and moving out of state, because not only does this affect our local community and we're as close to it as it gets, it affects the entire state. So it's really disheartening to see, the lack of confidence that we have in our local officials to be able to have our best interest at heart. On top of all of the noise and health complaints that everyone's already brought up, I put my kids to bed every single night, and despite we have 3 air purifiers, the amount of money that we've invested into trying to make our air in our house as healthy as we can in fear of what we're breathing in outside of our house, on top of air purifiers, sound machines in both of my kids' rooms, I can still hear the noise that everyone is complaining about every single solitary night, as does everybody else in my neighborhood, a development of nearly 300 homes. And the last point that I'll make, not necessarily noise related, but again, health related, my poor 5-year-old son has had a chronic, unexplained cough, a perfectly healthy 5-year-old boy for the last 7 months that has gone unexplained. We've been to the doctor 5 times, chest x-rays, ENT, now we have to see a pulmonologist. And the idea that this could be caused by the constant smoke that's coming from this facility that we're just trusting that they're going to be monitoring for all of the toxic fumes that are coming out of it is absolutely terrifying and heartbreaking to a mom of 2 kids. So I really hope that whoever is responsible for this decision can find it in their hearts to think about how just terrifying that is for a mom and a dad of two babies that are just trying to raise their kids in a healthy environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. You were right on 3 minutes. Can you tell me your last name and your address again, just for the record? I might have missed that.
Sure, it's Diana DiCrescenzo at 129 North Ridge Court in Southington.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to come off mute and give testimony on Reworld or Covanta? Okay, I mean, no, I think it's the same hand up. Just want to acknowledge to all of you that you may not have been here, many of you from outside of Bristol. Marco Palmieri spoke here, and I don't know how many months ago it was, but this is a very serious issue. We are listening to all of you. And right now, the noise issue in particular is the only thing I'll focus on here, is being addressed by the Bristol Burlington Health District. So there's some overlap in these health districts, and there is an ongoing litigation matter. So we are hopeful that those things will be resolved. And I think the only other thing I can pass along to you is that we do know that Reworld, probably for the first time, and I think somebody gave the history, which is great, in 40 years, acknowledged an issue, has worked on it in a first round, and at least, again, I'm just giving you their words, they have committed to spending another $1.5 million on trying to rectify. But this is going to go between Bristol Burlington Health Department, who I believe is doing a very good job on this to try to address those needs, and it goes much slower than all of us want to see. So I just wanted to get that out on the record for all of you, and appreciate you coming to the council meeting. They do have a court case going on right now, and are working with the Attorney General.
Why is it coming on a Friday where they bury the news?
Yeah, that would have to be a question you ask to Deep. I appreciate where you're coming from, Diane, and thank you very much for coming and speak to us. I'm going to move on to what looks like to be our next hot topic. Julie, you are up next. Erwin? Oh, sorry.
Might possibly be someone trying to speak. We don't know if we need to mute the person or if the person wants to speak.
If somebody's trying to speak, go ahead and pipe up and I'll ask you to hang on. You can stay at the podium though, Julie.
I get comfortable though.
You got 3 minutes either way. All right, go ahead. We're going to move on. Go ahead, Julie. Name and address for the record.
Julie Irwin, several addresses in Bristol, but residing at 81 Woodchuck Lane, Harwington, Connecticut. My husband and I currently own and pay large taxes on 16 rental properties with over 40 tenants here in town. I adamantly oppose adding cameras in this city. In my humble opinion, this decision to add cameras does not represent a conservative stance by any means. A conservative mindset would be to back the blue. I have many thoughts and questions around this issue. I'll share a few of them with you now, but obviously I only have enough time to share to not list them all. I would ask you, when did reckless driving become a bigger issue in Bristol? Would it happen to coincide with the timing of not empowering our talented police to do their jobs effectively? Something else I'd share is, it's my understanding that one piece of the criteria that needs to be met to consider adding a camera to a location would be to have a certain amount of crashes at that traffic light. I would then take it a step further and research the details of that said crash. For example, was intoxication a factor? Was a non-registered vehicle a factor, a non-insured driver? If yes, clearly those issues would not be fixed with a camera. I don't believe in finding the root cause of a problem and solving it, not treating the symptoms. I believe in this case, it is a case of create a problem, which in this case is not allowing the police to do their jobs effectively, get a reaction, which in this case is lawlessness with reckless driving, and then come in with a swooping solution to add more surveillance. Typical problem, reaction, solution. Last I checked, a conservative value would be to keep government small and not add surveillance in what many would consider overreach. This seems to be the opposite, in my humble opinion. I hope that I don't need to remind all of you that you work for us. You represent us, and this is a no. With the full facts, I believe majority would oppose these cameras. I intend to do my best to educate them and get some energy back behind the people standing up for what they believe in. Now I will list the people who are opposed that asked to be represented tonight. I have 50 names. There are many more, I am sure of it, and I intend to pursue them all. Would you like me to read them off?
I'd rather have you submit them to us if you have it written down. That would probably be easier.
To make sure that everybody has the names, I will email each one of you with them.
That would be wonderful. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate that. Jeremy, is it Bond up next, or I can't read your writing? Sorry, that's you, Jeremy.
Good afternoon, chairmans and all mayor and the rest of you. My name is Jeremy. I'm from Bristol. I grew up in Bristol. I own multiple properties in Bristol, and I also own a couple tow companies in Bristol. I firsthand know what these accidents are, what these violations are, what everything that goes on to do with us with these accidents, and why you guys want red light cameras. I feel that it's going to affect all of the businesses that run multiple employees, multiple vehicles. I myself have different driver and different vehicles every single day. So if one of them gets a ticket, I get the ticket. If somebody rolls a stop sign, rolls a red light, you know, what happens if there's an accident and cops are directing people through red lights to get it by? They're all going to get tickets. I don't think that's very fair. You know, we've definitely seen an uptick in the police doing their jobs better in the past few months. There's a lot of unregistered vehicles, a lot of stolen vehicles, a lot of uninsured vehicles, a lot of people who don't have licenses. My opinion is I feel like you guys are attacking the middle class, because those are the only people who are going to get fined. People are stealing cars. They're not going to get the ticket. The people who got the car stolen is. You know, I'm really opposed to this, and I think it's a horrible idea. And I think that, as the previous woman said, let the police do the jobs. Let them go on the road. Let them issue tickets. I mean, I can't tell you, I've towed hundreds and hundreds of cars in Bristol, thousands probably, accidents, major intersections. And being unregistered, it's common. No licenses, common. People on their phones causing the accidents, DUIs, that's all common. Far more common than you guys would imagine. You can ask the chief, he's sitting here. He probably has all the documentation telling you what each accident was for. Look into it. Look into it and do your math. Don't just jump the gun and accept everything that comes in your way. Ask him. He'll provide the information for you. He has it. That's really it. And just remember, a lot of us are opposed to this, and we'll all remember next time voting comes up. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Jeremy. Daniel Bailey, you're up next.
My name is Daniel Bailey. I was born and raised here in Bristol. Some of you may recognize me. I'm Uncle Sam on the stilts in a lot of our local parades. I feel that speed cameras are something that's going to help our town. I know too many of my friends that have been hit and killed by cars here in Bristol. With that being said, I'd like to speak first on behalf of my friend Nicholas Creco, who I've known since freshman year of high school. One day, freshman year, about 2004, Nick was crossing Farmington Ave and was hit by a car. He sustained a broken leg, fractured femur, some broken ribs, and other injuries. He needed surgeries and rehabs, and with the support of all his friends and family, he was back on his feet in no time. Now let's fast forward to 20 years. June 27th, 2024. Bristol Press article. The second pedestrian in an accident early Monday morning has died from injuries sustained while he was at the crosswalk between Emmett and Pine Street. Nick, you guessed it, was the second pedestrian. Nick was unfortunately a victim of yet another careless driver on these Bristol roads 20 years later. This time he would not recover. I wish I could say that he was the only one I knew, which leads me to bring up another good friend of mine, Jamison Shaw. Jamie was crossing over by Emmett Street. I heard he was going to Aldi's for groceries. He stepped out into the road and was struck by a distracted person on their phone. I'd lastly like to speak about Peter Speranza. 2/24/24, the Bristol Police Department was contacted regarding a serious motor vehicle crash in the area of Middle Street and Redstone Hill Road. Sedan versus motorcycle. The motorcycle operator's injuries were significant, and Lifestar was contacted and responded to the scene. Pete was a proud and awesome father of twin boys and a loving husband. I know you think that doesn't fit the story because he wasn't a pedestrian, but Redstone Hill area and Middle Street are constantly speeding because of both highways that you have. We need to do better. I was Memorial Day 2024. Like I said, I dress up as Uncle Sam on stilts. I was walking down the boulevard, dressed up. I'm standing 9'6", 9'6", and I almost got hit by a car in front of my children. And from then, my child on Halloween had an issue with me standing on those stilts. And when I almost got hit on the boulevard, it wasn't just it was a serious close call. They locked their brakes up and swerved around me. I don't know what else to say. People need something to say, oh, I should not be doing this. Plain and simple. If you can't see a 9'6" man standing in the road in a crosswalk with children, something needs to be done. If nobody wants the speed cameras, understandable. I'm 50-50 for it. It sucks to have something like that, but what are we gonna do? There's no way I should have almost gotten hit by a car. That's a speeding car at that point. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Catherine Crowley, you're up next.
Catherine Crowley, 328 Washington Street, Bristol. Pretty simple. It's unconstitutional. It removes the presumption of innocence. It's what our Constitution is based on. It's mass surveillance without warrants. The citation is to the owner and not the actual driver. Let's see. In our Constitution, we are asserted to be able to confront our accuser, and we can't do that to an inanimate object. So I'm opposed. Pretty simple. Thank you.
Very concise. Thank you. Bob Cochran, you're up. Robert.
How you doing? Rob Cochran, 32 Ridge Road, Bristol. Kind of think that the main thing here is that we need to just have more respect on the roads. Kind of like hearing the two stories that I heard right off the hop. It comes down to respect. I mean, people need to slow down is the first thing. Cameras, I've been driving a long time. Have I went through a red light occasionally? We all have. I mean, there's no two ways out of it. I mean, my grandfather a long time ago when there were a lot less vehicles on the road, having a Class A, Jeremy can, kind of said this of everything that goes on the roads. He's on the roads a lot. But having a Class A, number one thing is, you do have a tractor in front of you. One of the other gentlemen spoke the other night at one of the other meetings. You do have a trailer behind you. Is he going to get a ticket? Okay. The issue is safety is number one. If you're driving something and you do have to go through the light, you might have cargo in the back of your vehicle. I have an SUV. You might have dogs in the back, something else. You need to address the whole situation before you just slam on your brakes. Dog can go through the windshield. Someone could be right on your rear end and actually cause another accident. Rear end collisions are very bad. I will say that. Seatbelts, side airbags are designed for forward and side collisions. We really don't have nothing for rear end. Driving a 40,000-pound vehicle, you can't stop. Chances are you're going to come through the intersection anyway. I would say probably the best thing to do would be to blow your horn, maybe let some people know, hey, you know, I can't stop. Roads might be wet. A lot of things. I'm going to leave it there. I just am a big no on this. I hope you all can understand that. And I mean, I know this is a longer process, but I will always stay with that no. I mean, I think our police officers in the, you know, red and blue need to. No one wants to be humiliated, pulled over on the side of the road and get a phone call and go, hey, see, you got pulled over today. What happened? That's what we really need to do. I mean, you know, that's where people will slow down, police presence on the roads. In the intersections that are bad, I brought this up before, Stevens and Stafford, there's been accidents there since horse and buggy. And I will say that there'll always be accidents there. I don't care if you put a red light camera or not. That's not going to slow people down. Red light cameras, speed cameras are not going to slow. An officer pulling somebody over, going to slow people down and be like, you know what? I just got a ticket. My insurance company's going to find out. They're saying the insurance company's not going to find out. Over time, they will find out. Trust me. People like Jeremy, they got multiple drivers. And I asked you this, Mr. Mayor, about I have a dealer license. So I have an automotive shop. I can loan each and every one of you a car. Well, if I loan you a car this week, another one next week, the week after, and you all run red lights, I'm getting the ticket. That's unfair. That's unfair. Driver needs to be held accountable. The only way to do that by the Constitution is having the officer write the ticket. I mean, the chief, you guys been doing a really good job with this. Chief Morrell here with pulling people over and writing written warnings. Jeff, you have said this, that we're ramping it up. We'll start writing tickets next year. Let's see how that works. Instead of trying to just put these things in play, I just don't think that they are the answer to this. I really do believe, and I'm a no on it, but I do believe that police doing this is the right way.
Right on 3 minutes. Good job. All right, Donna Barbati, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Donna Barbati. I'm at 167 Birch Street, Bristol, obviously. I'm born and raised in Bristol, but I'm also a teacher, special ed teacher in Waterbury. And I look at this like there's a problem and then there's a solution, but where's the data? We have to make decisions based on data. And that's how my job is. Everything's data driven. So rather than jump the gun and just put something out there that I know is unconstitutional, we talked about that. But since this came up, I've actually researched a little bit on my part and found that if you implement something like this, it actually increases rear end collisions, but then it decreases other collisions. So all I'm saying is, and it's a flat out no for me. I'm just opposed to it completely. Just look at what other towns, states have done this type of thing and look at the research, because you can make a better decision. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Dion.
Good evening. My first rodeo here. Dave Dion, 91 Oakwood Circle, Bristol. Born and raised, probably die here too. I am opposed to this camera thing on all the points that everybody spoke on, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, but everybody's seen an episode of Cops, right? Right along with the camera crew with a cop, just sees somebody, police officer sees somebody just roll through a stop sign, pulls them over, goes through, guy's unlicensed, uninsured, vehicle, it ends up taking the guy in and getting him off the road. I think that's what we really need to do, is just let the cops do their jobs. And that's where I stand. I'm good.
Thank you very much. That's who I have listed here. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to come off mute and address us? Second call. Okay, and then just one comment to all of you. Again, we're hearing you. Some of the things I heard was a lot of research needs to be done. I will encourage all of you to continue to do research, and I will also invite you to listen to Chief Morello's PSA on this as well. There's a lot of information out there, and I think all of us, from the council to ordinance to whoever's going to take this up, have to look at that. And there's a lot of great questions out there. So we appreciate the public participation. I did also want to let you know, so you don't have false expectations, that this is not an agenda item for this meeting tonight. By request of the police board and Chief Morello, this was referred to Ordinance Council. Many of you were at the ordinance meeting. Next ordinance meeting is February 4th. 2025. That process is a public process, multiple meetings. If they were to move it forward, it would go to a public hearing where you can continue to speak. And I know many of you know that, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of that. Sebastian may give a committee report tonight on it, but no action is going to be taken tonight. And this would be a lengthy process. It would actually, from ordinance, if approved, would have to go back to the police commission for approval by the police commission, and potentially go out and pick a vendor that could deliver what the ordinance approves. And then after that, by the way, it has to go to the state and be approved through the state surveillance and make sure that it has the appropriate crash data and all of the things that match. Right now, the city of Bristol has potentially, at most, 20 places where there's been enough crash data collected by the state to allow a camera to be operated there. So this is just a process. I want to make sure everybody knows the process, and we're at the very beginning of it. I appreciate your patience, and certainly we want to hear the input and the feedback. So thank you very much. Since we have no other public participation in front of us. Oh, we do. Oh, that's right. I forgot about you. I held you off till the end. Thank you for your patience. Name and
Planning Commission for like 5 years and we never.
Jeff.
Crap.
Yes.
So, I assumed there was a public hearing going on tonight, and so I apologize. I wasn't trying to jump the line.
Yeah, Jeff Hayden, right?
Jeff Hayden, yep.
Thank you.
Lynn-
Not unexpected. My bad. Go ahead.
It's quite all right. So,
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
We'll share these. We'll share.
You want to share them around?
Yep. I did see these actually, because you did email me as well, so I appreciate it. Go ahead, Jeff.
So tonight I'm before you just requesting a positive referral to the Board of Public Works. I understand this is an issue that is completely outside of your purview, but I'm trying to essentially just get as many yays as I can to my proposal here. Basically, I'm requesting sidewalk construction from the south end of city property at Southside School, basically through the yard of 93 Tuttle Road, which is approximately about 100 linear feet up to that driveway. And then ideally, it would carry on to the next driveway of 93, which would be approximately another 82 linear feet. Basically, if anyone is familiar with Southside School, as you can see in the photos there, it is the only school in Bristol where these sidewalks do not connect to any other parcel of property. In fact, there's not even a handicap access or turnoff for the sidewalk that does actually terminate at city property. It doesn't actually even lead back out. In one of those photos there, you can see it's been an issue during the winter when they plow. They don't actually even clear that sidewalk. And if they do clear the sidewalk, they leave a 2-foot tall snowbank blocking access to the road from that sidewalk. So basically cars end up having to park off this, further blocking. You can ask any parent who's ever attempted to do a drop off there, or even Dr. Huber, who is the principal over there, or any bus driver. And I was in contact with the traffic department. Lieutenant Krajewski was very helpful, and he provided a quick comment. I sent him an email just basically outlining my request here, and he said, in response to your email, I will always support sidewalks as it is a safer means of pedestrian travel, especially in the case of Southside School. I'm aware of the parking situation there. And also, I know that the traffic sergeant Ouellette is always on top of his game at the beginning and end of school with installing, having temporary no parking signs on the opposite side of the street because people end up double parking, and then cars get jammed up when a bus tries to come up the hill and somebody tries to go down the hill, and nobody can go anywhere. And so essentially really just trying to improve the safety for students and staff and parents. Really installing traffic or sidewalks in just these two locations would really accommodate 95% of events. Certainly you have beginning of school and end of school where cars park another half mile up the road. Really this is, you can see the extent in that photo with the snow in it, where basically on a typical day, cars do park all the way up to this and to the lot line of 93. So this would really solve a 50-year-old problem. If this school were to be built today, there is no chance that sidewalks would not be contiguous through and up to Melinda Lane, which again, I don't think is required, really just this 180 feet at about $50 a linear foot to install. That's not a large ask to solve, again, a 50-year-old problem for under $10,000. And, as we're talking about traffic cameras and all this other things, just to improve student safety and the safety of parents and the like. So with that, I would, again, I'm just requesting for there's a Board of Public Works meeting tomorrow night. Or rather Thursday.
Thursday night.
I'm intending to go to that. So if I could just ask you for a positive referral there, that would be
Great.
That's it.
So just so you know how this works is the positive referral would come from there to us, perhaps.
Okay.
Or probably stay within Public Works. I did look, by the way, your address, because I thought it was in the email.
Melinda Lane, 50 Melinda.
50 Melinda Lane. Thank you. So I'm going to encourage you to come to that meeting on Thursday. I would also ask, and I don't know if you've done this or not, but I may be putting the cart before the horse, but if those neighbors that would be impacted, if you know them or have a relationship with them, it would be great if they could come, because we would probably reach out to them after. So you could do a little neighborhood work ahead of time and bring them to the meeting on Thursday night. That would be wonderful for us in the Public
The
Works.
reason I was here tonight was just because, again, I was hoping that we might encourage the city to foot that bill so that it wasn't, the Tuttle Road is going to predate current subdivision regulations, which
You get you. And I did find out that there is a precedence for doing this. So this is not out of the realm of possibility. And I was speaking with our Public Works Director today about it. So
Yes,
thank you.
Ray as well. So
Perfect.
thank you, guys.
Hopefully we see you Thursday night. Thanks. All right. I think we are done with public comment at this point. So I'm going to move forward. Thank you all. And now I got to find my agenda that I put aside for half a second. I apologize. So our next order of business, I want to make sure I'm the right one. Yes, I am, is our announcements. I'm going to start at my left this time. Eric, you ready to go? Go ahead.
I have no announcements this evening.
Right? Mark, any announcements?
I also have no announcements.
Cheryl, we can't go through.
Yeah, I'll take their time.
All
Thank
right.
you. I just wanted to remind everybody of some upcoming events at Rockwell Theater. This Saturday is a fantastic celebration of jazz, soul, R&B, that we're going to have over 25 artists from across Connecticut with jazz, soul music, poetry, lyricist, performance, paintings, and so forth. So this event is called the Soul Session. It starts at 5 p.m., 5 to 9 at Rockwell Theater. Tickets are still available. Coming up the week after that is our community conversation. It's the first degree of separation. This is a comedy show, but it's aimed at ending the stigma of mental health. So this is a free event. We encourage everybody from the community to join this event. With the Army of Comedians, we hope to kill the stigma of depression and share stories of hope, happiness, and triumph. Real quick, I'm just going to list these, but February 1, this guy knocked down the house last year and was asked to come back. The scenes from a Billy Joel Experience. You close your eyes, you think Billy Joel is there. I've seen Billy Joel live. I've seen this guy live. I couldn't tell the difference. What is it, Live or Memorex? Remember that old ad?
You're dating myself.
I am dating myself. March 1st, one of our favorite Bristol bands, the Soul Sound Review, is celebrating their 40th anniversary with the Rockwell Theater. March 9th is the Red Hot Chili Pipers. It's bagpipes with attitude. And a Scottish accents. They had me at the Brogue. So March 9th, you want tickets for that one. March 15th is comedy night at downtown with Jordan Carl, Saquana Cochran, and Tammy Pescatelli. And then if you have children, April 12th is Charlotte's Web. So in the next several weeks, we have some real quality events coming up. One other thing I want to mention real quick, because Sue, you probably have the Shamrock Run. You have the Shamrock Run you're going to talk about.
I have no announcements this
Oh,
evening.
okay.
So go
I'm just
for
going
it.
to put it out there. The Shamrock Run will be held March 15th. It's the 22nd year. It's a community 5 and 2 mile road race. And there's also a 2 mile fitness walk. It's a family event, great vibes, and all the proceeds benefit St. Vincent de Paul, our homeless shelter, Convect, and other community-based organizations that support individuals in need. And then my last announcement is, and I have it right here. It's everybody's favorite season. It's tax season. And the VITA volunteers have undergone their training. And so appointments are now being set for you to have your income taxes done. If you are an individual or a family or individuals whose total household income is $67,000 or less, this is not for businesses, this is for individuals, you can have your taxes done for free by a VITA volunteer. Now, this is through HRA's office here in Bristol and the United Way of West Central. Of course, it's statewide, but these are 2 locations that you can go to. The phone number to make an appointment is 860-356-2000. And they are starting to set up the appointments. I've been a VITA volunteer before and completed income tax returns for many individuals. It's a great service, and if you have need, the tax laws really complicate it. Please take advantage of this free service. I can't stress this enough. Those are my announcements.
Thanks. I do have one quick announcement. I officially became one of the first clinkers in the state today. Clink is a new company that has come into the state of Connecticut in combination with RecycleX, which is a company here on Worcester Court. And this new, I called it disruptive technology, is going to make it a lot easier for people to recycle the redeemable bottles and cans. So it's right in front of Stop and Shop, and it's run through Stop and Shop. You download an app. I know it'll be on the news tonight because most of the news media was there. Very cool, where you have to get the hardest part about this is you have to get the bags up front from Stop and Shop that are very inexpensive. You put all your bottles of cans into the bag, you scan it, you put a sticker on it, and you put it in there, and they redeem them for you. So they put it through this special machinery, which is here in Bristol. The shop RecycleX will take all of those cans in as a major bottle redemption center for the entire state. And Bristol is the first one to launch this very cool program. So just wanted to get that out to people.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I wanted to get to that presentation, but I know that there's a lot of nonprofits that run bottle drives. Are they going to be able to get their own barcode so that individuals can buy the bags and drop the bottles off that go to that nonprofit? Do you know?
I think I can answer it this way. When I went to print off my labels today, I could print off up to 15 labels. I think they could pass out the labels and do it. I mean, there is not an easier way to get this done, I don't believe, and that's why I call it disruptive innovation. I will just also speak to the city council. We don't have the Board of Finance people here. Remember, about 40% of the bottles and cans that are returnable for 10 cents now actually go through Murphy Road recycling. So most people are pretty good, like I used to be, and put it in their blue recycle bin. We as a city pay for that recycling, where this is going to take that out of the waste stream, and we are going to see, a major impact for hopefully the city to see a reduction in cost. The bottle bill is going to work the way it's supposed to. This gets right back to the manufacturers because it's a much cleaner process. There's not contamination that they get at Murphy Road. And the third is for those that buy a 12-pack of soda at a time, you're not going to be throwing away $1.20 anymore. You're going to get it back. So it's a win-win-win. I think this is one of the few things as mayor I could say I don't think anybody has any chinks in the armor on this one. So wanted to get it out there. Stop and Shop. Well, the second location, Stop and Shop, should open up in the next week or two as well on Pine Street, but the one on Farmington Avenue is open. Good question. Thanks. Sebastian,
Sure.
any
Thank you,
announcements?
Mr. Mayor. I just want to recognize the Bristol CERT team who operated the cold weather protocol shelter last week at the public library. It was a last minute protocol that was enacted really by the governor, and day of we found out in the afternoon that we'd have to set up the library. So they do a great job. They're volunteers and members of CERT who are setting up cots and really making sure that the operation runs smoothly there overnight for a few days at the library. And I want to thank, we have a couple of library board members here who are total rock stars, and we thank them for their flexibility and their understanding of the operation. And it looks like potentially, this week or next week, we're in the winter now, so the governor could really call it into effect at any time, and we have to really be there at the drop of a hat. So their flexibility and their ability to be there is huge. So we really thank them, and they do a great job to really set up that shelter for us.
Sebastian, can I add to that real quick?
Sure, of course.
I was up there for most of the time, except for one night. Also, Bristol Burlington Health did a great job, and our community outreach officers did a phenomenal job. I just want to recognize them as well.
Thank you.
Everybody did really good, and I appreciate their hard work.
Yep. That is it for me. Thank you.
And just for everybody here too on the council, we actually have a new business item that will come up under new business because we know the library can be very busy. You might have your book fair going on while we have a freeze. So we have come up with alternative potential source of place to hold this warming shelter if need be. So that'll come under new business as well. Susan, any comments or announcements? I think you said none, but did you come up with another one?
This month.
Okay. Jackie?
I do not have any announcements, Mayor.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have items A through E. Does anybody wish to withdraw anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I have,
To approve?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 6 is the reports and committee reports. We do have a real estate committee item. I'll give that over to you, Sue. You start us off on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to to accept the following property from Gaskey's Realty, Inc. by receiving a deed in lieu of foreclosure to resolve the outstanding property taxes due to the city of Bristol. Map 43, Lot 99B-1, 125 Frederick Street. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Great. And Sue, want to give us a little background on this?
Just a quick summary. We could have proceeded with foreclosure on this property due to tax liens, and basically the owner of the property just felt it was more advantageous to hand over the deed to the property instead of us going ahead and foreclosing on them for the taxes due. This is also kind of presents another nice opportunity because it's also adjacent to another parcel of property that was donated to the city of Bristol, I believe last year.
Yep.
So it kind of also creates a opportunity for maybe a nice park or some other public use.
Yep, and that was a positive referral from the park department for the first parcel, so we would assume the same here. And any questions or comments from anybody on this one? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Do you have any other committee reports? All right, I'm going to start with you, Jackie, then, and we'll move our way back this way. Any reports or committee reports?
No committee reports, Mayor.
Sebastian?
I don't have any reports. I'll just touch on the traffic camera issue briefly. We are looking at that in ordinance. We did have a good crowd come out to the last meeting. And we had a good amount of folks speak to it tonight, and we're being deliberate, really. I think a lot of the initial reactions here are important to hear, and there's a lot to digest from what the state gave us. There's a lot of parameters there that we would have to put in place. I know the point of looking into data came up. That's probably a good idea. We want to make sure that we're taking everything into account. It's a serious issue because we did hear from someone that spoke, and I had one of my neighbors who was hit on 229 and was killed. One of my former neighbors. So it could be an emotional topic, really, because these accidents are happening in town more frequent than we would like. So there's a lot to weigh, but we are taking a serious look at it, and we appreciate all the input. We're still getting it today included, and I'm sure that will come along in the next few weeks also. So the more input we get, the better, and thanks to the folks that spoke out. Thank you.
Could I just ask a question? This has been brought up a couple of times and I'm not quite sure how to answer it. So, it is in the ordinance committee for what purpose? Is it to write the, ordinance draft? Or is it to approve whether the city? That's what I was a little confused on, and I don't know how to answer that question to the constituents that asked me. So is the ordinance committee also in charge of deciding whether the city approves these cameras, or is their task simply to come up with an ordinance?
Yeah, I don't see Chief Morello here, but the motion that came from the police commission that Chief Morello asked for was to send it to the ordinance committee for consideration. If the city is to add this, if the city is to add it, they need to take the law that has been put in place and create an ordinance. It would then go back to the police commission to decide if they wanted to do it or whatever. And there's a couple of outcomes that could come from the ordinance committee. They could.
So the ordinance committee is deciding whether or not the city of Bristol is going to proceed.
I would disagree with that. I think
I'm just asking
their
a question.
only segmented job is if they were to move forward, how it would operate under the city ordinance. Because we don't have to adopt everything that the state has said perfectly. We could say it has to be 20 miles an hour over the speed limit before you get a ticket. So that has to be established first before the police commission could, take this up again. So that was our debate at the police commission, is how this would work. And I think that's my
Through the
understanding.
chair. It's my understanding though, and it's been our past practice, and I believe this is how it is the ordinance committee may come up with language that goes to a public hearing, but it doesn't get enacted on unless it comes back to the full council. So whether or not the ordinance committee agrees to send this language forward to council or not, they are not the final decision makers. This body of government is.
And I looked at corporate counsel here to make sure I don't speak out of turn, but this is also interesting because there is no fiscal responsibility for the city on this. So, Board of Finance might not have to weigh in on this because there is no remuneration back to the city other than excess things that are very specifically designed in the state guidance that has to come back to Vision Zero. Remember, this all starts on a platform that says we're trying to get rid of all of traffic accidents and pedestrian deaths. So I think it could be debated on exactly what the process is, but I do want to be clear that the ordinance committee is not going to enact this in any way other than to come up with a potential ordinance that could work. And they might not even do that. They could send it back to police commission or send it along to council, I guess, if they wanted. But, the way we structured our police board motion was to go to ordinance and come back to
Draft
police
an
board.
ordinance.
To draft an ordinance to come back to police board, to consider an RFP to work with a vendor if they were able to come up with the agreed upon ordinance.
Thank you.
Lots of work to do. By the way, and then just to finish for you, and I said this publicly, but I know there was a lot coming here. Even at that point, the state has to approve every single location. So there's a 2 or 3 month process. And just to be fully transparent for everybody, Washington Depot was the first city to go through the entire process. I think it took them about a year. And then Kent just turned down the process, their next door neighbor. So, and there are multiple cities looking at it right now. That's the stage that we're at. Does that help, Sue?
Thank you.
Good. Any other questions on that? No, thanks for giving us that update. It's helpful because ordinance, it's kind of cordoned off right there now for ordinance, but it'll have to go in other places after. And
I'm all set.
he was good. Yep.
Yeah, for the Arts and Culture Committee, I'd wanted to share that the state of Connecticut has approved expansion of our Bristol Cultural District, and this now includes North Main Street and Ray Street. So this encompasses the Bristol Bazaar and future restaurants and expansions in downtown. So we're happy that that's been expanded. And on May 13th, the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development will be doing a cultural walkthrough, and the Arts and Culture Commission will be participating on that, and that'll be at 10 a.m. Animal Control Facility, we're not meeting this month, but it's my understanding that the property at 30 Cross Street will be closed on this week, and the grant application is still in process. I have a couple things I want to share from the Fire Board. The two actually came from the Fire Commission. we have established a health and wellness committee to formulate a plan to establish and implement health and wellness program in conjunction with the police department to comply with NFPA standards and upcoming OSHA regulations. And there's a list of committee members that'll be participating in that and working together with the rest of the force. And another highlight that I saw is that we've put, I want to say now, 32 people through the rope technician course. This came through a grant, and this training program is designed for firefighters and rescue personnel seeking to enhance their expertise in technical rope rescue operations. It emphasizes hands-on learning, focusing on complex high-angle rescue scenarios. Key skills include rope rigging, patient packaging, ascending and descending techniques. And so these classes were 64 hours. We've now had 32 people go through it. They were supposed to be tested last week, so I'm sure they all passed, and we're thankful for that grant. And it just highlights that our personnel are still going through ongoing rigorous training programs. And then one issue that hasn't come before the commission, but I've had some communications with Chief Hart on. There's been a lot in the press with Southington and their mutual aid and reliance on mutual aid and their talk about reducing their fire force. So it spurred me to talk to the chief, and I asked him for some information that he knows I'm going to share tonight. Southington Mutual Aid has requested 15 times in 2024 to date at a cost of $1,343 per incident. And we had to staff an additional ladder truck twice, which was a higher cost. In return, Bristol Mutual Aid has requested it 4 times. So we have a big disparity here. Southington has Bristol, New Britain, and Meriden on automatic aid response. They rely on Plainville, Wolcott, and Cheshire, which are all volunteer to provide station coverage. So if we put this in context, Bristol's responded to 87 structure fires to date in 2024, and again, only requested mutual 4 times. This is important because I think, as we probably will bring up in our next commission, we want to make sure our neighboring towns staff accordingly so they're not relying on their neighboring town and their resources. We always want to come to aid. We always want safety first, but we need to make sure and advocate that our neighboring towns do their part as well. A recent update is that Southington is not going to reduce their staff, as said in the news. They plan to budget 1 additional person out of their own budget, and they're applying for the grant to hire 3 others. So we'd like to see this trend change. We always want to respond when in need, and Chief Hart and his team will, but we want to make sure other towns are not making their neighbors foot the bill if they're not going to provide. So I just wanted to share that at this meeting, and we'll be talking about it more in our commission meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Mark.
I do not have any committee meeting.
And Eric.
I have 2 quick things. One from school readiness. Edgewood Pre-Kindergarten Academy received an additional 15 slots starting this month. There are currently 5 openings left. Call 860-584-7828 if you're interested. Early childhood parent ambassadors are launching the next state survey from January 17th to February 14th with a focus on early literacy. Let Donna Kosher, I'll give the email later, know if you have an opportunity to provide for us to provide the survey for your family with children between the ages of birth and 6. All families who complete the survey will receive a $10 gift card to Amazon and will be entered into a local drawing for a $50 Amazon card. The email is dkosher@uwwestcentralct.org. Reach out to me if you need that. Next one is from the BOE, real quick. The budget workshop that was scheduled for tonight has been rescheduled. The new date is going to be January 21, 2025. Meeting notice to follow, but I believe it's going to be 6 to 8 p.m. Not 100%, but keep an eye out for the meeting note. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Eric. Did we miss any? Last call. Okay. We'll move on to number 7, which is old business. Do we have any old business?
Yes, I do.
Mark?
I want to talk about a couple issues I want to bring to the floor from continuation from my comments concerning the closures of Countryside Manor and Sheridan Woods from last month. And before I speak on that, I want to make sure that we don't have a repeat of last month when you interrupted me and called for an adjournment, which is a violation of Robert's rules. On December 18th, you sent me an email showing me that both you and Justin Malley spoke to Stacey Ellis and Myriad Painter from the state. And by their reactions in the emails, it looks like this was your first contact with the state. I'm not saying it was, it just looked that way by the way that the comments were made. I just want to go on record that these closures have removed 236 beds and eliminated 431 jobs from our community, on top of the unpaid real estate taxes. I think that this is a very important topic for us, instead of just shrugging it off as a failure of the healthcare system and an assumption that these employees will get jobs somewhere else. Do you know if these employees were offered severance or a continuation of their health care? Are they eligible for unemployment benefits? And did anyone arrange for a one-stop shop or employee fair to help them with their forms? Did we ask Bristol Works to get involved? And has the ownership explained anything that was any plans that they have for the building?
The last question, I don't think I can answer. I'm not in the ownership group. I think from the email that I did forward to you, I want to make it very clear to everybody that there were a couple of referrals given by Myriad Painter and others. This was something we were working on, and there are earlier emails that Justin had that I didn't have, but we both got looped in on this. We have made probably no less than 3 or 4 referrals that have come in through this process to the appropriate people for the change of ownership process. This relies totally within the state's purview, but we have actively worked as an ECD board plus the mayor to try to funnel people in that direction. The other thing that you did talk about, which I am happy to report, is that I spoke with Kim Ward-Hawley probably right after our meeting or around that time. I don't have the date because I don't have the email in front of me. I can forward it to you if you'd like. But Bristol Works is going to do a job fair for healthcare employees. I mean, there's no good news and closure and loss of jobs. I think maybe on a little bit of the brighter side is there are many employers looking for workers in the healthcare industry, which is one of their main focus that is funded by the ARPA process. Kurt Barwis is in on that. We had spoken with him even before that meeting, and there are connections with many of the other skilled nursing facilities. In the event, by the way, you said there were closures. I just want to be clear about this. There are no closures at this point. This is going through a process, but in the event there are closures, we're here to try to support the best that we can. So I hope that answers all of your question, because the third one I couldn't answer.
Yes, thank you for the update.
Great. Any other old business, Mark?
No.
Nope. Any old business for anybody else? We'll move on to the new business, and I know Sebastian has one, so I'm going to ask him to bring that forth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion. I hereby move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to sign and execute the Bristol Salvation Army Use of Facilities Request Form. This will allow the use of the Salvation Army of Bristol facility located at 19 Stern Street as a cold weather emergency shelter. I further move this matter be referred to the Corporation Council for any necessary action to effectuate this motion.
Second.
Great. So this is an important step forward. It's a pretty taxing resource on the library itself, as well as the staff, the custodial staff, especially that has to do an all-night thing. We are looking for more community support for this because the CERT team, as Sebastian has said, has done a great job. So the Salvation Army stepped forward. So I want to personally thank Captains Emmanuel and Sharina Echeverria and Marge at the Salvation Army. And it's this kind of a call to action to the community. The more volunteer support that we have to support these events, the better. There's no line item in the budget that we have on city council for these types of things, but it is incumbent upon us to try to make sure that our unhomed population is safe. I will also just share tangentially with you all that we are working on a homelessness group. We met today, as a matter of fact, so I personally thanked Marge at the Salvation Army for doing this. So we're going to continue to plug forward and hope that the state, who is looking at this in many regards, will take some of our thought process on what we did on the Prospect Street property to heart and move that forward. And I'm a little bullish that that will happen. We've been working on it behind the scenes. Eric.
Sure. The only thing that I ask is when you ask for people from the public to come out and help, please make sure you go through CERT or one of the other organizations. We just don't want just people off the
Not through other organizations, directly through CERT.
Okay,
I want to be
directly
very
through
clear on
CERT.
that. That's a
We
good
just don't want
clarification.
people just showing up off the street.
Yeah, no, it's a very organized process
Yes.
now that Harley and CERT has put together, so they kind of have the operations set. It just, these things can be taxing on people an all-night affair. I think our
just didn't want
numbers,
any
we're in
confusion, that's all.
the 20 range for this last cold spell, which was a very difficult cold spell, mainly because of the wind, so.
Yeah, first night it was like 5 or 6, and it ended up almost at 19 or 20 the last
Really?
last night. So
The need is there, and we appreciate Salvation Army for stepping forward. We will need a certificate of insurance, which I want to thank Corp Counsel that has worked on behind the scenes as well to help with us with this. Any other comments or questions? I'll try your minds then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Any other new business?
I have something for new business also. I'm going to speak about the charter school. I don't remember us being brought up at city council before, so I thought it would be something for here. I just want to speak of transparency. That I was very surprised to hear that you wrote a letter in support of the charter application. I'm not sure if most people are aware, but state charter schools divert per pupil spending away from the city and Board of Education and use those dollars at their own schools. So for the math, that's the state uses $11,000 per pupil for spending. So if the charter school does come to Bristol, which I know they have rescinded their application, but if they did and they had 100 students in the first year, that's $1.1 million deducted from Bristol's share of state funding. More charter schools aim for 600 kids. That would be 6.6 million that the state wouldn't fund to Bristol. They also don't hire certified teachers and are not reviewed for curriculum design. If the charter schools are drawing from mostly a Bristol population, that means there is an enrollment drop in Bristol schools, which could mean teacher and staff layoff as well as the budget hit. This is a slap in the face to the 600 plus Board of Education employees who are doing an incredible job every day, especially when you say, I am committed to providing exceptional education opportunities for our youth, and I believe that Reach Academy's unique interactive model would be an extraordinary addition to our city's educational landscape. I know I am new, but in my opinion, a letter of endorsement that changes the political landscape of our educational system is something that should have come to the city council so that we who represent the people who voted for us could weigh in on this, or at least, the very least, talk about the implications and let the public know so that they could go and speak or learn about it. This is not transparent. And I am interested in hearing you talk on the record about why you wrote the letter, why you wrote this letter and are facilitating this instead of supporting the BOE the way that we need it to be supported.
I don't know if I hear a motion there to move something forward. This is a statewide process, and
it's about you writing the letter in support of.
Yeah, I think this might fall better, to be honest, under maybe announcements or some other discussion. I don't think this is a new business item to come before this board.
But we've never talked about, we never talked about the Charter Academy.
Yeah, we don't talk about a lot of things, Mark. I'm going to move forward unless there's a motion to act on this. Not hearing any, we'll move to number 9, which is resignations. Do we have any resignations? I think
We had two, sort of.
Yeah.
Nikki Laporte from Cemetery Commission, 2-9, and Colleen Nicastro, Historic District Commission, also 2-9.
Right. Cheryl, can I have
Oh,
your
I'm
motion?
sorry.
You're my person. I look.
Yes,
when I get done.
thank you. Motion to accept the resignations, put them on file, and send a letter to those thanking them for their service.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I do want to address one specifically, and a 2-9 resignation is unfortunate. You know, sometimes people can't make meetings, and I do know that we have the option to reappoint people, and many times there are extenuating circumstances. I just want to address Colleen Nicastro, who I spoke with personally, and she had a family issue. Historic District Commission doesn't meet regularly on every month, so it makes it a little harder sometimes for those rules. So we will have a motion to put her forward again. But just wanted to put that on the record so that as we get there, there's not a surprise from people. All right, let's move on to our appointments. The first one is from the Cemetery Commission. So we are going to be able to replace Nikki Laporte and appoint Maya Bringe. That term will expire on 3/25. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. On the Energy Commission, this is not one that we have to take action on. I don't think. Do we have to do the vote on this? No. So this is just really an announcement from me. Our Energy Commission is finally full. It's a very important commission. A lot of the energy savings that we're seeing in the city of Bristol are really coming from mainly this new building that is very energy efficient. But a lot of our opportunity is on the Board of Education side, and a lot of proposals come forward to us. So I had a nice conversation with Eric Carlson, and I am going to appoint Eric Carlson as a Board of Education liaison. When the Energy Commission first started, we always had a dedicated person from the Board of Education on it. We've been missing that for a while. So Eric has graciously agreed to do that, and I do appreciate that. So he will be a liaison to the Energy Commission. If a position opens, we might make him a full member, but he did agree to go. Next is the Fire Commission, and I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Dana Jandro. His term will now expire on 1/28.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. The Historic District Commission, I already talked about this. We are going to appoint, this is not a reappointment because we have to start over, Colleen Nicastro. Her term will expire on 1/30. And we are also, there was another opening, so we are also going to appoint Jennifer St. John. That term will also expire on 1/30. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I think Eric beat you to it. He knows Jennifer well, I think, too. That's why. So second from Sue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, every January we do library board, and these are important, timely ones. So we will reappoint Elizabeth Kanchavosky, sorry. Kanikowski, you got it. All right, a little better there. We will reappoint Pina Salvatore, and we will reappoint Barbara O'Neill, and we are going to replace Tom Jensen with Daniel Rivard. All of these expire on 1/28. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Transportation Committee, we are finally filling the
We're
Transportation Commission because I'll entertain a motion to appoint Peter Del Mastro, and his term will expire on 1/28.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Final one is on Youth Commission. Corey Nagel had resigned a while ago, and we needed a private youth servicing member. So I'll entertain a motion to replace Corey Nagel with Donna Osuch. There you go. You're quick. It's the last one, I said. We're good.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I don't think I missed any?
No.
We're good? All right, we move on to our item number 11, and I don't see the chief here, but this is a motion to approve an agreement between the City of Bristol and the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute any and all documents to affect said contract.
So
Go ahead, thank you.
moved.
A second?
Second.
Here we go. I don't have too much detail on this. If we have questions, we can get it Chief Morello, but this is a task force across, do you know the area, by the way? I think there's, the central Connecticut area is covered by this. Yeah. Chief, we're on your item number 11. If you want to speak to it, we don't have any questions at this point.
We can think of one.
Sure. Please do. We just
You were here. I wanted
just a
to
brief
make sure you
overview.
had your chance. My first question is, where does this task force involve? I mean, how large of an area?
It's actually, it's not going to be a change at all for us. We already have a detective assigned to handle these types of crimes. This will just create that partnership with the state and provide some additional resources for
Okay.
us.
So it's a statewide task force.
So that's really what happens right now. If we get a cyber tip and it's determined that it's originating in Bristol, we'll have a detective assigned to investigate it. This just creates that partnership, expands the resources for us, and that cooperation statewide. So
Excellent. Any questions? Sue?
How many of these tips come in a year? Just approximately?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay.
But like I said, it was what would happen regardless of whether we're part of this task force. The task force would actually call us and say, "Hey, we got a tip that there's some issues here in Bristol," whether it's an IP address coming back to Bristol residents, and then we would do the investigation anyway.
Great. Other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. The Peter Court accessway maintenance, to direct the Department of Public Works to cease any and all maintenance of the road access way identified as Peter Court effective January 17th, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve? So
Move approval.
Second.
Great. We do have questions for Ray on this one. He is here. We're really cleaning up a lot of the city streets that are
Non-city streets.
either approved or non-city streets in this case, yes. So comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll be moving into executive session. Before we do, who's coming in with us on these? So that's A and B. Great. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Oh, he's talking library board. Wait 1 second for Sebastian. We will be coming out of executive session. I was just waiting for Sebastian again. Just a reminder, no votes were taken in executive session. Can I have a motion to?
So moved.
No? You guys are quick tonight.
Second.
You got the first and second?
Got a second.
Cheryl and Sebastian, I heard anyway. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. First motion is 13A. You got that one?
I think,
That's you.
Does it say? This is
Yes.
the.
Connecticut Solar?
Solar.
yes.
Yeah, that's yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
I hereby move that the litigation matter between Superior Court document number HHB-CV-23-6078-561-S BG Connecticut Solar 3 versus City of Bristol be resolved by a stipulation to judgment whereby the City of Bristol agrees to fully exempt the personal property of the plaintiff subject to Connecticut General Statute, Section 12-81-57 and Sections 16-244U, and that the assessor be directed to make said adjustments to the grand list.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Mr.
B.
Mayor, I have B. I move that the litigation matter Meridian Towers Associates LP versus City of Bristol, Superior Court docket number HHB-CV-23-6079841-S be resolved by stipulation to judgment at the agreed upon full market value of $15,950,000, and that the assessor be authorized to adjust the October 1, 2022 grand list in accordance with this stipulation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries. Eric, I
I
think
need to
you
recuse myself.
great. We'll wait for you to get out. All right, Jackie, go ahead.
I hereby move that the City of Bristol enter into a full and final settlement in the matter of Sandra Daniels Hippler versus City of Bristol for any and all workers' compensation claims filed by Sandra Daniels Hippler for WCC file number 7074340, WCC file number W00-1221059, and WCC file number W000-655403 for the total amount of $75,000. The dates of these claims are listed below, but are not limited to the following: December 27, 2012, June 10, 2014, January 12, 2016. I further move that the mayor, acting mayor, corporation counsel, or assistant corporation counsel be authorized to execute the full and final settlement.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Motion carries. Technically, we should get Eric back in for adjournment if we could. Assuming there's nothing else to come before us, so we'll wait till he comes in. We couldn't do this without you, Eric.
We should
Yeah.
make you make the motion,
Yeah.
you know,
Would you
just
like
for
to make
that.
a motion to?
Come on. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Eric. That was an important task.